Welcome, welcome. I'm definitely recording because I'm finding some cool stuff. What was I doing? I was looking around Bennu related stuff. I don't even know why I started looking at this. Why? So there's a hurricane coming, potentially. I'm like, here. Someone said Bennu. Kevin said Bennu is the god of the demon of epilepsy, even, which made me think of like a dark energy pulling society down into a rest sleep state of low consciousness, low awareness, loss of awareness, periods of unusual loss of awareness. So maybe Bennu is. Anyway, I don't want to get too much into that, but I was talking about Bennu in my last video, but which I would like to look into. I was thinking of looking into a bit more. I started looking around. Maybe it was this. Why did I look at? I don't know what brought me to look at Betelgeuse, however it's pronounced. But like if I do this on Twitter, top posts. I don't know what that said. That was actually about it, so let's see what it says. Didn't look like today. Reddish, a deep yellow. Didn't even look like today. It's about the supernova. Not the only sky watcher to record the color of this star. 100 years later, orange yellow like Saturn. However, almost 2,000 years later. Oh, that was. Wait, when did he say? 1800 AC. Ptolemy noted that it was a bright reddish. 16th century Tycho Brahe noted that the star was even redder. This rapid color change has to do with its evolution. The one that changes color in 2 millennia, from yellow, orange to red, says that it has 14 times the mass of the sun, and mass is the main parameter that defines the evolution of stars. Oh. In the last stages, at some point in the next million years. Dude, this article, oh my god, it's incredible. So this, new Hubble data suggests that a Titanic explosion literally blew off the top of the giant star. Never seen before in space, and dwarfs similar outbursts from our own sun. Our parent star routinely expels parts of its tenuous outer atmosphere, the corona, in what is known as coronal mass ejection. Betelgeuse explosion was an ejection about 400 billion times more powerful. Holy shit, dudes. The ejected material cooled to form a cloud of dust that temporarily made the star appear dimmer. This convulsion interrupted the star's 400-day wobble period that astronomers have measured for more than 200 years. Never before has such a massive ejection from the surface of a star been seen. Totally new phenomenon that we can directly observe and resolve surface details with Hubble. The star is still recovering from this catastrophic upheaval. Let's see if this dude happens to be a researcher on the subject. A lot of times I'll come across these and it'll be actually the researcher when it's like many like this. Or me. Some asshat like me. Oh well. From my armchair position, I see the truth is this. Next tweet. 2, 3, 4, 38. Literally. Convection plume more than 1,000,000 kilometers across, bubbling up from inside the star, produced shocks and pulsations that blew away part of the photosphere. I can't. Oh my god, dudes. This is incredible. Okay. Oh, maybe it was this. This is what it brought my attention. Yeah, just a fucking YouTube video. It's like Betelgeuse is finally exploding, and so I'm like, this is fucking clickbait. But maybe, like this person, this channel generally posts things that are like at least have information in them. I think sometimes they're just kind of like there's a lot of similar channels. No offense. That have like a style to them where they're like reporting information. So, but then they'll a lot of times have something like this. But maybe like I've found that sometimes they'll actually be reporting like what the title is when it's something like extremely crazy like this. And in this instance, it really was. Brought my attention to the fact that this is going on. Holy fucking shit. I mean, maybe it's a little clickbait to say that it's about to supernova right now, but dude, it blew its top. So, like, where is it? If I go to this, right here. So, mind you, this is a single landmass, and this is the top of Earth, is what we would term the South Pole. North Pole is actually the South Pole. South Pole is actually the North Pole. Dude, can we confuse things anymore? Oh, well, we like North being up. Dude, North is not that pole, though. What are we doing? What are we fucking doing? Anyway, besides the point. It's just fucking ridiculous that it's that it's like intentional at that point. Like purposely, or maybe it's just backwards. It just shows how backwards our viewpoint is, and as a collective, where we've arrived at literally the opposite of truth. And while the North Pole is, it's up there. North is that way. Apparently. So it's actually the South Star, the Polaris, making that even more confusing. And so on. Like, what are we doing? Anyway. So notice it's all conjoined, mind you. This is closed. This is non-existent whatsoever. The western boundary is conjoined with the eastern boundaries and closed up, and the sphere is smaller to a point where this is just a single landmass. And there are weak points in the landmass because that's how it forms geometrically. It's like polygonal and sacred geometry, it seems. Like there's definitely a spiral of weakness from this point outward. But generally having chunks, and so there's weak points through the chunks. And so Dwarka was attacked by a vortex weapon right here, which then this was closed up. So it caused energy to flow along the southern side of Africa. Crazy. It's fucking crazy that it's that backwards. Literally, the southern side of Africa. Travels along that, and then it goes to uh, basically where it's split off and went mainly between North America and Africa, but also broke up this way. And then it's kind of, according to this, it stops. I believe what happened was the ocean started to form here, like the real ocean. So this continued, and then it kind of like started to flow through this region and cause a channel and open this up until it fucking exploded. But so like it doesn't capture it because we assume the ocean. But then maybe not. It wasn't fully able to like to break. So the way I see it is literally to break the bonds, even though it's severing the connection between the two, the bond is still there. Like there's an energetic bond, apparently, according to observation. There's an energetic bond that held the structures like a chemical bond practically to one another. Like maybe they are like here's a chlorine atom, here's an oxygen atom, and whatever else, not to go to a point where there's like subtleties and things where that is kind of like there's chunks that bond to one another so that the crust itself is a molecule. Perhaps of a living being. That's quite the tangent of consideration, though, to even consider. So instead of that, let's continue on. And so the energy then, though, went this way. And what's crazy is I noticed the other day, this is how it works, is the energy flow went this way. And then oddly, it goes around. It literally just wraps around Antarctica.
Other continents to form new oceans, and it's marked out on this animation.
So notice they didn't draw this like blue. There was no red here. It's probably because of that. It borders the ocean. They're like, nah. Like because we think there's an ocean, there's no. Only between the land. But then suddenly it starts opening up. So like notice it's all this structure right here is literally the top is blown. So Betelgeuse blew its top. Literally, this is what astronomers have concluded, that the bright red supergiant star Betelgeuse quite literally blew its top. This is incredible. I really haven't looked in depth into this. It was just so mind blowing to see. And then this reminds me of the ripples of energy. And if I know it sounds ridiculous to suggest it, but Easter Island, these things are in ripples. Like, why are they struck? So it's almost like this isn't the full. There's another one over here with a red cap on. There it is. So it like goes up to a red cap peak, which almost is in representative of the initial attack on Dwarka, where like Atlantis was sunk because it caused a ripple into between Africa and North America, a fracture to start from opening the Mediterranean Sea into having oceanic crust, and then into the Atlantic. And then it subsided a bit, but then in 66 million years ago, according to radiometric dating, when everything happened, Chicxulub, Shiva crater, Nader crater, Mount Gurnar, Deccan traps, all these things that I'm sure that's a non-exhaustive list, yet to be discovered. This sheer quantity of things that occurred simultaneously was this second ripple, and then it followed like a wave, which is what this is doing. Like, that's kind of crazy that this thing is kind of vibratory as it stabilizes for temporarily, because it's about to fucking explode. Like, it blew its top just like Earth. Just like Earth, it blew its top. But look, 158. Even though this in Earth time is only probably a month or two between this and the actual supernova, in radiometric dating, it's not the same time. So notice Caplo,
animation by those red
you know, we're
lines.
chilling.
It's
We're
one of the key
chilling up.
elements.
I mean, we're not chilling, but the major. If we look more at the oceanic, this is probably a better way to look at it. So like 60 is basically orange red. Like, all of this occurred after the like supernova. All of this occurred. All of this. Sure, there was a little bit around the edges, but the bonds were not broken. So like, these continents were still bonded energetically to one another, to a point where the magma trying to come out between the land masses couldn't. And so what that did was is it put pressure on the bonds until they all started to fucking blow. Like, just like blowing its top. But again, in a more like complete sense, where everything was blowing, and then it expanded to the new radius. So like that, that's a big amount of radius added from this in that explosive event. Where before then, when the top was blown, 129 MA, so that's all the way back here. Like, we're back in the blue color at that point. When the top was blown, there's just blue. Like, that's this part here, this here, but it's not this here, which maybe. I don't know what to make of that. It's like it punctured a hole, but it couldn't fully cause the earth. It just started to put pressure on the earth. This like gaping hole that was able to expand here at that time, until finally the bonds broke, and that led to substantial expansion between the continents. So, like, this shit's about to happen. That's what I wanted to say. Like, this shit. I am recording, okay. It's literally about the supernova. They say it's not, but I disagree. I mean, they just don't want to. It's kind of strange. Like, they don't want to hype it up because they don't want to be wrong. but like the evidence is strong that this is about to happen to a point where they could hype it up. Like, dudes, check out this fucking star. It's in Orion. It's one of the shoulders. It's right there. It's boom. Everyone knows Orion. Oh, Orion, you saying look at the stars? Start watching that star right there, and then one day it just fucking clear as day. We have a supernova for months on end in the sky, lighting up the night. Like, literally, unlike anything anyone has ever experienced that's alive today, pretty much. Like, that's incredible what we could see with our eyes. It's one thing to see supernova with telescope imagery, but to see one in the sky that's like got detail, because this is gonna be there's gonna be detail. Who knows what this was gonna look like? I mean, sure, with telescopes, it's gonna be even more epic to see it, but just with the naked eye, it's gonna still be fucking a work of art, really. Just beautiful, the nature of reality. It's probably gonna have rings and geometric structures that are similar to other like Supernova 1987A, but way cooler. Way cooler. Like this was cool. This is cool. Rings, like this is cool. But Betelgeuse, this thing's gonna be otherworldly cool. Because it's fucking huge. Continues doing some very unusual things right now. The interior is sort of bouncing. These new observations yield clues as to how red stars lose mass late in their lives as their nuclear fusion furnaces burn out before exploding as supernovae. The amount of mass loss significantly affects their fate. However, Betelgeuse's surprising, petulant behavior is not evidence the star is about to blow up anytime soon. That to me is absurd to say. I mean, maybe if they're like trying to be technical about it and being like, well, it's kind of like radioactive decay, the half-life. We don't know. We can't pinpoint. Dude, this shit's about to blow. They're not accounting for other aspects of reality also. Like, it's purely physics analysis, not recognizing all the subtleties of the layers of why it's about to blow. This shit's gonna be so useful to our, like, uncovering the nature of reality so that we can heal, really, and, like, get the fucking wrongs in our understanding out of our understanding. Because they're just voids that don't actually provide stable footing. They cause us to collapse if there's enough of them that we stand on. Enough voids, enough false truths, lies. Like, we gotta boil that shit out with the heat of just, like, subtle energy. Okay. See, like, I could be blatant about it right now and speak my mind about things, or I could be subtle. Very subtle about things, and not actually say things that are, coming to mind. I could just be here hanging out, subtly behaving like everything is, Oh my god. all, all the pulling together, all the puzzle pieces of the star's petulant behavior. Oh my god, we never before seen a huge mass ejection of the surface of a star. Huge mass ejection of the surface of a star. Oh my god. We've never before recognized. Although I guess this is a fair statement. It's just I feel like this is standard operating procedure. Like the moon maybe formed when the earth expanded. I'm not completely sure. It was there prior. It was probably there, but maybe in a way where it literally was maybe even another landmass of the earth that was like part of it, and that's got just pooped out from the earth, kind of like Bennu, but was more completely removed as like a nucleus to a new system sort of thing, maybe. I don't know. I suppose it. I don't, because I don't know how the moon formed. I know we generally suggest and suppose it to have formed generally when the Earth formed, but I don't think that's true because I think that Earth used to be Mercury or Mercury like and used to be Venus or Venus like, where it just literally didn't have moons. Sorry, Pops. Totally new phenomenon that we can observe directly, i.e., have evidence for, dudes. People be like, where's your evidence? But they don't know the evidence. They just assume there isn't when I say shit they don't know. Blasted off a chunk of the photosphere. Crust? Probably not, but maybe. Leaving the star with a large cool surface area under the dust cloud that was produced by the cooling piece of photosphere. That doesn't even make sense. A chunk of the photosphere? What do you mean a chunk of the photosphere? Fractured piece of photosphere sped off into space and cooled to form a dust cloud that blocked light. So let's say that this occurs. Oh my god. guess I closed it. Or moved away from it. Oh my god, I just have too much shit open, pardon me. Whatever. When the earth grew and blew its top, maybe it like emitted dust particle type of equivalent photosphere. Wow, the actual like severed top stayed within the shell of the star because it was like Antarctica, but then surrounding it, emitted from the surroundings, was like a wave that caused this equivalent photosphere emission that we're seeing then a similar, maybe it caused like a cooling effect. Which would have evidence at that time. Maybe. Totally new phenomenon, blah blah blah, directly and resolve serve. Oh my god. What if they turn James Webb Space Telescope at this star? Possibly caused by a convective plume. What if it was caused by a vortex weapon attack by the beings on Betelgeuse made of stardust? In a more real way, because they're not even dust, they're made of stars, practically. Not just dust. We're made of stardust. They're made of stars, dude. Like actual stars, like they're fucking building blocks. Are stars. I know. Fucking talking about star made of star dust. It's like, dude, huh? Something going on that we don't completely understand. Oh my god. Deep inside. Bubbling off from deep produced shocks and pulsations that blasted off the chunk of the photosphere, leaving the star with a large cool surface area. Look at, weighing roughly several times as much as our moon. The fractured piece of photosphere sped off into space. Damn. I mean, that's really not that much. Several times the mass of our moon, when it's a star that's many times the mass of our sun. That's not a big amount, really. So it could be that it emitted effectively dust just around the edges of the continent equivalent. When it blew its top, they say it blew its top, but only it was just like the surroundings that had the several masses of our moon, but still is not enough to be like an actual physical single. It's not like the Antarctica chunk blew away from Earth and floated in space equivalent where of what happened here. It's where they're just seeing some subtle energies that are on our scale detectable and massive, because several times the mass of our moon. Easily found in the right shoulder of a constellation Orion. 400-day pulsation rate is now gone, perhaps at least temporarily. For almost 200 years, astronomers have measured this rhythm as evident in changes in Betelgeuse's brightness, variations, and surface motions. Its disruption attests to the ferocity of the blowout. Yeah. And it also, therefore, attests to the imminence of the supernova subsequent. This is like a preamble, or whatever they call, like what's the equivalent of an aftershock? Opposite Aftershock. Foreshock. A foreshock. I was like, pre-shock? I've never heard pre-shock. Foreshock. Before the, like, the, what do they call it? The main event, I guess. Star's interior convection cells, which drive the regular pulsation, may be sloshing around like an imbalanced washing machine tub. Spectra imply that outer layers may be back to normal, but the surface is still bouncing like a plate of gelatin as the photosphere rebuilds itself. I mean, you mean, that sounds a lot like the expanding Earth and it being rapid and not a slow and steady process kind of thing. So huge that if it replaced the sun at the center of our solar system, its outer surface would extend past the orbit of Jupiter. Used Hubble to resolve hotspots on the star's surface in 1996. May be able to detect the ejected material in infrared light as it continues moving away from the star. Oh my god, I can't wait to hear that James Webb is on looking at Betelgeuse. Okay, what else can I find on this? This doesn't link anything. Let's just say August 2020. Huge, cool, dark star spot covered a wide patch of the visible surface. Suggested dust clouds covering a portion of the star. View from Earth. Is there a geological boundary line in the time frame of 175 to 150? I know there's the Cape boundary. I know there's the KPG boundary, or whatever it is. KT. PG, PB, I can't remember. I think it's PG, but maybe PB. Pardon me if it's PB. And pardon me not for knowing. People are like, what the fuck, man? You expect me to listen to your fucking not knowing that shit ass? Yeah, dude, I do. That's right. I mean, you personally, not necessarily, but someone's gonna. And they're gonna be like, in spite of. Okay, that's not what I'm looking for. Boundary. KPG. Boundary. I need to find other boundaries than this one. This one is at 66 million years, so it's not really relevant. So the Jurassic is when the Earth blew its top, maybe. So, is there maybe a boundary in the Jurassic time frame? Especially one that's more focused on Australia or Antarctica. Like generally towards the south of the Earth, north of the Earth. Fuck it. Oh goddamn! I'll be back. I'll